The docking ring of the Tarn Enclave pulsed with soft violet light as the shuttle sealed against the airlock. Kayla Reddick waited for the indicator to flick green, fingers resting on the reinforced case strapped to her forearm. Most travelers looked eager to disembark. Kayla breathed slowly, centering herself. On Deathworld Tier 4, patience kept you alive. Here, it merely kept you unnoticed, for a time. The door hissed open. Dozens of aliens filling the arrival concourse froze mid-step. A human had stepped aboard. Kayla felt the shift instantly, the subtle tension, the micro-flinches, the way the nearest species instinctively realigned to create distance. Not hostility, instinctive caution. The same reaction prey animals had when a large predator wandered too close to the watering hole. She kept her hands visible and posture loose. "Transit papers," she said calmly to the customs terminal. The hologram flickered alive, scanning her form, then the case. The machine paused, processing the biosignature of the sealed specimen inside. Warning, Deathworld flora, restricted class 3. Special handling required. Of course it was. "It's stable," Kayla murmured, lowering her voice so only the terminal picked it up. "I calibrated it 3 hours ago." The machine chirped acceptance and issued a clearance band. She stepped away, catching fragments of hushed conversations swirling around her. "Is that the human? Look at those muscles, gravity monster. She brought something alive? Who approved that?" Kayla ignored them. She wasn't here for attention. She had a rendezvous with the Xenobotany Council regarding the plant, a rare adaptive creeper capable of surviving vacuum pockets. If successful, it could reinforce fragile hull sections in deep space habitats. It was a breakthrough worth protecting. She moved through the station's curved passageways, the case emitting a faint hum. Flickering lights cast rolling shadows across the walls, reminding her of forest paths back home, paths where nothing was ever still. She was halfway to the intersector tram when a trio of armored station enforcers stepped directly into her path. "Human traveler," the lead officer called. "Stop where you are." Kayla stopped. The lead enforcer approached, mandibles tightening in what passed for authority. His carapace armor gleamed cobalt under the ceiling lights. 2 others flanked him, gripping shock pikes. "State the contents of that container," he ordered. Kayla kept her voice neutral. "Scientific specimen. Level 3 flora. Cleared by Customs Node 7. Open it." "No," Kayla replied quietly. The officer bristled. "Excuse me?" She met his glare, her tone steady. "This specimen reacts to sudden changes in pressure, light, and scent. If you open it without calibration, it will defend itself. You don't have the equipment for that." The enforcer snorted. "Human superstition. Regulations require inspection." Kayla exhaled once. "Officer, don't touch that." A simple sentence. A warning spoken without heat or challenge. But warnings from humans carried an unspoken weight. The surrounding travelers went silent, their spines straightening. A pair of Glada hatchlings scuttled behind their mother. Even a towering core brood warrior paused mid-stride. The officer heard none of it. Pride made him deaf. "We will inspect the container," he said sharply, waving to his subordinates. "Seize it." Kayla's fingers tightened on the strap. Her heart remained steady, her posture unchanged. The younger enforcer stepped forward first, reaching without hesitation. Kayla said nothing. She didn't need to. The case reacted before she could warn him again. A deep vibration surged through the metal, followed by a faint pulse of azure light around its seams. The officer's hand brushed the surface, and the plant inside triggered its defense. The case vented a whisper of spore vapor through microfilters. Almost invisible. Completely silent. But the effect was immediate. The enforcer staggered back, pupils dilating. His limbs went rigid as if someone had flipped a switch. He collapsed, twitching, as his armor sensors blared warnings. "What?" the second guard gasped before the spores reached them as well. Both went down, convulsing. A low alarm throbbed through the concourse as medical lights engaged. Bystanders retreated rapidly. Kayla crouched beside the nearest fallen enforcer and flipped a switch on the case, initiating neutralization. "You'll be fine in a minute," she murmured. "It's a disorientation agent, not lethal. Don't inhale next time." The lead enforcer stared at her in horror. "What have you done?" "I warned you," Kayla said simply. "This plant responds to threat. It doesn't distinguish between curious hands and predators. You assaulted my officers. They touched a Class 3 Deathworld specimen without consent." His mandibles clacked furiously. "You humans think you can walk anywhere and dictate terms." Kayla stood slowly, bringing her full height to bear. "Not aggressive, simply present. We survived on a planet that tries to kill us from the moment we're born," she said. "We don't dictate anything. We adapt. But ignoring warnings on a Deathworld gets you killed." She tapped the case. "This isn't Earth, but the rules apply." The enforcer bristled with rage and humiliation, stepping closer. "You will come with us. Now." Kayla assessed him. His pride wasn't simple anger, he felt exposed, mocked, and responsible for 2 fallen subordinates. She knew what was coming before he even reached for his comm. He issued an order. "Security, lock down Section 3. I'm detaining a human for biological aggression." Kayla closed her eyes briefly. There it was, the escalation she had hoped to avoid. As a dozen more armored figures converged on the concourse, the station lights dimmed to amber. A quarantine drone hovered overhead, projecting a containment field around her. The crowd scattered. Not out of hatred. Out of fear. Kayla kept her hands raised, voice low and calm. "Warden will want to hear the full report before you charge me with anything." The plant defended itself. "I didn't release a single spore." "We'll see what the warden decides," the lead officer snapped. Kayla allowed them to approach. Fighting now would only worsen things. She had been raised to pick battles like she picked safe footpaths, carefully, deliberately. Still, as the containment cuffs clicked around her wrists, Kayla felt the tension bleeding through the station walls. Eyes watched from every corner. Whispered theories spread like sparks. The human girl warned them. She knew. What else can she do? As the enforcers marched her through the curved corridors toward the detention sector, the case floated behind them on a mag sled, sealed but softly pulsing. Kayla glanced back only once. The first warning had been ignored. The second would not be. The detention sector of the Tarn Enclave was built to contain volatile species, acid-blooded raiders, psionic manipulators, gravity-bending predators. It had not been designed with humans in mind. Kayla sat inside the transparent containment field, elbows on her knees, breathing steadily while the security filters cycled fresh air around her. Her wrists were no longer cuffed, the warden apparently wanted her cooperative before questioning. Smart. At least smarter than the officer who ignored her earlier warning. The room hummed faintly. A trio of analysts watched from behind a reinforced screen, murmuring to each other while data scrolled across their monitors. Her vital signs flashed red at first, then stabilized into a pattern the machines flagged as abnormally resilient. She ignored them. Her thoughts remained on the case that held the plant specimen. It sat on a pedestal outside her cell, locked behind multiple barriers. The plant was calm now, its bioluminescent tendrils tucked safely inside their enclosure. But it reacted to stress, and Kayla didn't know how long it would stay dormant with so many unfamiliar scents around it. The door to the room slid open with abrupt force. Warden Zyler Vrack strode in. His armor carried the gleam of rank, deep amethyst plates with silver trims, and his height overshadowed everyone else in the room. The mandibles around his mouth clicked once, measuring Kayla's expression. She didn't stand. She didn't lower her gaze either. "Human," he said, voice echoing through the chamber, "you've caused disruption on my station." Kayla met his stare. "Your officers touched restricted material. I issued a warning." He paced slowly around the containment field, claws clicking against the metal floor. You speak of warnings as if your words carry weight here. They should. A simple instruction would have prevented all that trouble. Trouble? Xyler stopped, leaning forward, mandibles flaring. You incapacitated 2 of my staff. I neutralized nothing, Kayla said evenly. The plant defended itself. He scoffed. Convenient. Accurate. Xyler slammed a hand against the containment barrier. It rippled, momentarily distorting the air around her. You humans walk around like you own the void, he snarled. Your kind thinks strength gives you permission to ignore authority. Kayla clasped her hands together. Strength keeps us alive. That's all. He stepped back. You'll surrender the specimen for full analysis. No, Kayla said. The analysts stiffened. The air shifted again, subtle, but noticeable enough that 2 monitors flickered. You misunderstand your position, Xyler hissed. You are in my custody. Kayla's tone remained gentle, almost soft, but the meaning carried steel. You're escalating something you don't understand. Warden, if you push this, you won't like the outcome. Xyler's mandibles clicked twice in disbelief. You dare threaten me? It's not a threat, she replied. It's a warning. He motioned to the guards outside. Bring the suppression unit. Kayla felt her pulse slow. Not out of fear, out of preparation. Heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. 4 enforcers entered, each wearing reinforced exoframes built to restrain species far stronger than humans. Their glowing restraints hummed with charged particles. Kayla exhaled slowly. This is unnecessary. You will comply, Xyler growled. Seize her. Kayla didn't move, not yet. The first guard deactivated a panel, lowering a gap in the containment field so they could step inside. The moment they crossed the threshold, the environment shifted. Station gravity dipped, then surged upward in a violent arc. The enforcers hit the ground first, exoframes groaning under the abrupt pressure spike. The analysts began shouting as the weight crushed them into their seats. Xyler's legs buckled a fraction before he steadied himself against a rail, disbelief flooding his features. Kayla remained sitting exactly where she was. Her physiology did the rest. The station's grav field compensated for hundreds of species, but Deathworld adaptations disrupted those parameters. Her body pulled more force than the station anticipated, causing a localized collapse around her. Kayla rose slowly, the floor plates beneath her boots cracking with soft pops. The guards tried to stand but collapsed again, groaning under the pressure. Stop, Kayla said quietly. You don't need to do this. One guard reached for her ankle, struggling to maintain grip. She stepped aside, letting his hand slide harmlessly across the floor. Warden, call them off, she said. Xyler stared, breath shaking. What are you doing? Nothing, Kayla replied truthfully. This is involuntary. When you bring aggression this close, my body reacts. Humans evolved under constant threat. Gravity spikes give us stability. They crush everything else. The analysts behind the glass were pale, their eyes wide. One whispered something rapid and terrified into a comlink. Xyler managed to straighten himself. Deactivate, whatever you're doing. I'm not doing anything, she said, voice steady. Tell them to stand down. Let the plant remain sealed. End this before someone gets hurt. You think you can dictate? Kayla stepped forward, and the floor groaned under her weight. The lights above swayed, metal supports snapping like twigs. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Warden, she murmured, this is still the calm version. A cold chill cut through the room. Xyler froze, his mandibles lifting, the bravado in his voice faltering. Guards, retreat. The enforcers backed out as fast as their failing suits allowed. The instant they exited the containment zone, the gravity stabilized. Kayla let out a slow breath. Relief rippled across the room as the station's gravity system rebalanced. But the panic didn't fade. A crowd had gathered in the corridor outside, traders, station workers, diplomats. Their faces reflected a single shared realization. Humans didn't need weapons. Their bodies were weapons. Xyler, shaken but still clinging to pride, gestured sharply. "Reset the field. She's not leaving until we strip every Deathworld artifact from her possession." Kayla shook her head. "You're making this worse." "I decide what's worse," he snapped. "Then listen carefully," she replied. "That gravity surge wasn't the plant. It was me, staying calm. If your suppression units touch me again, my reflexes will respond harder. The station might not handle the next fluctuation." She wasn't boasting. She was stating facts. The concourse tremor had been mild compared to what Deathworld stress responses could escalate to. Xyler clenched his jaw. "You will submit." "No," Kayla said, gaze locked with his. "This is your second warning. The next step is on you." Outside the chamber, whispers swelled like rising stormwater. She didn't even stand fully. She bent the gravity field. What if she gets angry? Kayla didn't hear the fear as praise or power. She heard it as pressure, one more thing spiraling out of control. Xyler slammed his fist against the command pad. "Lock down the sector. Prepare full restraints." The lights flashed crimson. Kayla closed her eyes. The second warning had been ignored. The third would not be gentle. The security lockdown hit the Enclave like a sudden storm. Red lights washed the detention sector in pulsing color. Blast shutters sealed over the viewing windows. Metal gates slammed shut across every corridor. The station's public channels erupted in sharp tones as residents were ordered to shelter in place. Kayla stood inside the containment field, palms open at her sides, shoulders steady. The tension in the air thickened with each alarm. She sensed the rising fear far more clearly than the ringing sirens. Warden Xyler issued rapid instructions into his comlink. "Deploy drone units Beta 3 to detention. Activate tranquilizer fields. Prepare psionic dampeners." Kayla raised an eyebrow. "Psionic dampeners? I'm not a telepath." "Your abilities defy classification," he snapped. "They're not abilities," she said. "They're survival mechanisms." Xyler ignored her, signaling his officers into formation. 6 large drones glided into the room, their metallic fins unfolding like blades. Their cores glowed a fierce orange, set to enforcement level. One analyst whispered, pale and shaking, "Warden, this is excessive." "Silence," Xyler barked. "We end this now." Kayla exhaled softly. "You're making a mistake." Xyler pointed at her. "Drones, stun pattern, now." A high-frequency buzz filled the chamber as the drones surged forward. Kayla centered her weight, feet sliding apart across the cracked floor. She didn't intend to fight, but instinct wasn't something that waited for permission. She moved the moment the first drone fired. The stun beam grazed the edge of her shoulder, and the impact, not pain, triggered the shift. Her muscles tightened. Vision sharpened. The world slowed into crisp clarity. She stepped past the beam, grabbed the drone by the stabilizer vane, and twisted. The machine spun out of control, slamming against the wall with a shower of sparks. Another drone aimed from her flank. She ducked, rolled, and rose behind it. Her hand struck its power core. The core dimmed instantly, and the drone dropped to the floor like a dead insect. The guards outside flinched at the display. Someone cursed under their breath. Kayla moved without brutality, each motion efficient and controlled. She didn't strike to injure, only to disable. A third drone rushed her, she sidestepped it, letting it crash into the containment barrier. It fell, twitching. 2 remained. They hesitated. Even machines recognized patterns. Kayla stepped toward them slowly. "Don't push harder," she said softly. "I won't break anything else if you stand down." The drones retreated half a meter. Xyler's mandibles trembled with rage. "Override that hesitation. Full aggression mode." The remaining drone's cores flared red. Kayla's chest tightened, not with fear, but disappointment. She vaulted upward as both drones fired at the same instant. The twin beams tore through the floor where she'd stood. Kayla landed between the machines, grabbed their sensor arrays, and slammed their heads together. Both shut down instantly. Silence spread through the room, heavy, tense, and uncertain. Xyler stared at the wreckage. How is a human capable of? Kayla didn't let him finish. She lifted her hand and pointed toward the plant case across the room. You should be more concerned about that. At first, no one understood what she meant. Then the case pulsed. A soft glow radiated through its seams, far brighter than before. The plant reacted to the escalating threat environment. Its tendrils stirred violently against the inner membrane, brushing the sensors with a low, resonant hum. Kayla stepped forward. Warden. Back away. Xyler didn't move. It's contained. It won't stay that way, she warned. That species doesn't like chaos. And you're drowning this room in it. He scoffed. An exaggeration. The case pulsed again, harder. This time, the glow spread outward in a shimmering wave that rippled across the floor like a living heartbeat. Every living being felt it. The analysts stiffened. Xyler's legs shuddered. Even the guards outside the door gasped at the sensation, gripping the walls. Kayla saw the fear spreading and stepped quickly toward the pedestal. You forced its second defense mode. Xyler's mandibles twitched. Explain. It's emitting a fear pheromone. Harmless on my planet. Devastating on stations like this. Her voice dropped. It mimics the presence of a major predator. Everything within range goes silent. The lights flickered overhead. A quiet, primal dread seeped through the chamber. One analyst clutched their chest. Make it stop, please. Kayla didn't wait. She approached the case, fingers moving swiftly across the calibration panel. The plant strained against its membrane, tendrils extending like reaching limbs. Easy, she murmured. The room was dead still. Kayla keyed in the neutralization code. The glow weakened. The vibration eased. Slowly, painfully slowly, the sense of crushing dread retreated. When the light finally dimmed to its normal level, several guards collapsed, shaking. The analysts slumped in their chairs, drenched in cold sweat. Kayla straightened. No one spoke. Not the guards. Not the analysts. Not even the warden. Xyler stared at her like he was seeing a creature crafted from a nightmare he never imagined living beside. She met his gaze, not triumphant, not angry, simply tired. Warden, this is why I warned your officers. Twice. Xyler swallowed hard. Why didn't you unleash this earlier? Because restraint isn't weakness, Kayla said. It's discipline. Humans don't escalate without purpose. Xyler's posture faltered. His pride had been cut away by something deeper than fear, understanding. A voice crackled through the station intercom. Warden Xyler, this is Counselor Wren. Release the human immediately. The council has reviewed your actions. Xyler stiffened. Counselor, this is my jurisdiction. No longer, Wren snapped. Your reckless conduct nearly compromised the station. The comm clicked off. Kayla watched Xyler's shoulders sag. His authority evaporated. He stepped toward the panel and deactivated the containment field. You are free to go, he said hoarsely. Kayla stepped out, retrieving the plant case with gentle hands. The corridor outside was full of silent onlookers. Workers, traders, envoys, every species represented. Their eyes tracked Kayla with a mixture of awe and wary respect. She offered no threat. No display. She simply walked through the parting crowd, her steps steady, her breathing calm. The enclave, normally humming with noise, remained so quiet she could hear her own heartbeat. As she approached the shuttle bay, a small Glada child peeked around her mother's leg and whispered, barely audible. Deathworld girl, is she dangerous? Kayla paused, lowering herself to eye level with the child. "No," she said softly. "I'm careful." The mother bowed her head, relief washing over her face. Kayla boarded her shuttle, sealing the hatch behind her. The engines rumbled to life. As she lifted away from the station, she glanced back once. The Tarn Enclave drifted in orbit, silent, humbled, wiser. Her second warning had been ignored. Her third left them wordless. The return flight to Earth 7's research outpost was quiet, broken only by the soft hum of the shuttle gliding through the star lanes. Kayla sat near the viewport, the plant case secured beside her on a magnetized clamp. The specimen was stable again, its tendrils curled inward, light dimmed to a faint pulse. Yet Kayla's mind refused to settle. The Tarn Enclave's silence lingered in her memory like a shadow. Not because she regretted what happened, but because she knew the galaxy wouldn't forget it. The shuttle's AI spoke gently. Estimated arrival, 13 minutes. Kayla nodded, though no one could see. Route still clear? Clear. However, long-range sensors detect multiple encrypted pings from ships near the Enclave. She raised a brow. Tracking us? Possibly observing. No sign of pursuit. She leaned back. They're curious. They always are. The AI fell quiet again. Kayla closed her eyes. Her thoughts drifted to the child who asked if she was dangerous. She had answered honestly. She didn't like frightening people. It reminded her too much of the early years on Earth, neighbors who crossed the street to avoid passing her father, teachers who whispered about the students from the northern megaforests. Humans born in the harsh zones were seen differently, even by their own species. Yet the galaxy believed all humans came from those zones. No wonder they trembled when she warned them. The shuttle jolted softly as it entered the outpost's landing field. The docking clamps hissed. Kayla unstrapped, lifted the case, and walked down the ramp into the crisp, thin air of the valley outpost. Her mentor waited at the bottom of the ramp. Dr. Lyra Halden was a slender woman in her late 40s, with dark hair coiled in a tight bun and eyes that always seemed a step ahead of her words. She crossed her arms as Kayla approached. "You're late," Lyra said. But her tone held relief, not reprimand. Kayla tapped the case. "The Enclave delayed my departure." Lyra's eyebrow arched. "Did something happen?" Kayla hesitated. "A misunderstanding. That's what they call it." Lyra motioned toward the entrance. "Come inside. I already received 3 messages from the Tarn Council demanding a full report." They sounded unsettled. Kayla followed her through the main corridor. The outpost was quiet, clean metallic walls, soft lights, the faint scent of hydroponics drifting from the greenhouse wing. She felt safer here. Understood. Not treated like a loaded weapon. Inside Lyra's office, Kayla set the plant case on the desk. Lyra circled it, eyes narrowing at the faint scorch mark near one seam. "This wasn't here before." Kayla sighed. "One of the station's drones fired at me." Lyra stopped cold. "They attacked you?" "They tried to restrain me. That triggered everything else." Lyra slowly removed her glasses. "Explain. And don't leave anything out." Kayla did. She described the officers ignoring her first warning, Zyler's interrogation, the gravity shift, the drones, and the plant's secondary defense mode. She kept her voice calm, giving Lyra each detail with the precision of a field report. When she finished, Lyra stared at her in stunned silence. "Kayla," she said softly, "the entire station went still?" "Yes." "And you neutralized 6 drones in less than 10 seconds? That part wasn't intentional." Lyra pressed a hand to her forehead. "You realize what this means? Politically, culturally, scientifically." Kayla's expression tightened. "I didn't want any of it to happen." "I know you didn't." Lyra sat slowly. "But the galaxy doesn't understand humans the way we do. They see your restraint as mystery and your reflexes as threat." Kayla sat across from her, eyes lowered. I warned them twice. And they ignored you twice, Lyra said. Which means the blame is not yours. The office door chimed. A transmission alert. Lyra tapped a panel, and a hologram shimmered into view, Counselor Wren from the Tarn Enclave. His translucent crest flickered with color, signaling tension. Dr. Halden, Wren said, inclining his head. His voice held forced calm. And Kayla Reddick. I am relieved you returned safely. Kayla remained silent. Wren continued, Warden Zeiler has been suspended pending investigation. His decisions endangered the station. Lyra nodded. A predictable outcome. However, Wren added, the incident has created significant concern among the Enclave species. They seek assurance that humans do not intend to wield their biological resilience as a form of intimidation. Kayla looked up sharply. I didn't intimidate anyone. You didn't, Wren agreed. But the effect was still recorded. And amplified. Kayla's chest tightened. What does the council want? Wren inhaled deeply. A diplomatic demonstration. Proof of controlled capability. Something that shows your people's power is guided by discipline, not aggression. Lyra frowned. You're asking her to perform? No, Wren said. We're asking her to speak. To explain. To make them understand that a warning from a human is not an act of hostility, it is mercy. Kayla considered his words. You want me to reassure them that humanity won't become a threat? Precisely. Kayla leaned back in her chair. And if they don't believe me? Then, Wren said quietly, the galaxy may respond with fear. And fear makes unstable alliances. The transmission ended. Lyra exhaled sharply. They're terrified. Kayla folded her arms. They're terrified because they don't know us. And whose fault is that? Lyra asked gently. For generations, humans avoided explaining ourselves. We let myths grow. Kayla looked toward the viewport, where the valley stretched beneath a blue-tinted sky. You think I should speak to them? I think you should decide whether silence helps or harms, Lyra said. You didn't choose this attention. But you can choose what happens next. Kayla ran her thumb along the case, feeling the faint rhythm of the plant inside. Even the flora of Earth 7 reflected her people's nature, resilient, reactive, powerful when threatened. She whispered, I didn't ask for any of this. No one ever does, Lyra replied. But sometimes we're given responsibilities because we proved we can handle them. Kayla closed her eyes for a long moment. When she opened them, her voice was steady. I'll speak. Lyra smiled faintly. Good. I'll arrange the meeting. Kayla stood, lifting the case with quiet care. Doctor, what if they still fear us after I explain? Lyra's eyes softened. Kayla, the point isn't to erase fear. It's to show you won't abuse the strength they fear. Kayla hesitated at the doorway. And if they try to provoke another test? Lyra's answer was simple. Then warn them once. Only once. Kayla left the room with the plant case glowing faintly at her side. The Tarn Enclave had learned the cost of ignoring a second warning. The galaxy was about to learn the wisdom of listening to the first.